There's an old expression, it takes one to know one, and that's especially true of veterans. If anyone ever told you there was a kind of unspoken bond between veterans, they would be telling the truth. Like a fraternity of brothers, a sorority of sisters, there is a sense of camaraderie among veterans that runs deep. There are shared experiences that only veterans can understand. At Trellis Supportive Care, there's an appreciation for this, an empathy, if you will. So much so that Trellis Supportive Care is part of a national program called We Honor Veterans. We Honor Veterans is a program established by the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization and the Veterans Administration. Both of these national organizations come together knowing that veterans nearing the end of life would benefit greatly from specialized care. We are fortunate in our region to have one of the very best hospice organizations providing such personalized care. And I've seen firsthand on a number of occasions just how compassionate and attentive they are to veteran patients, honoring their service, understanding the impact of military history, knowing how post-traumatic stress can present itself at the end of life, even holding special ceremonial pinnings, honoring each veteran patient with a sincere thank you for their service to our country. It is never easy to say goodbye to a loved one, but it helps to see such a level of professionalism, compassion, and respect. The caregivers with Trellis Supportive Care receive special training so they are prepared and knowledgeable, understanding what matters most to veterans at end of life. What is most heartwarming is the authentic care shown to each patient and the peace of mind we feel as family that our loved ones are in the best hands possible. I'm Larry Laxton. I know these things for fact. I'm a veteran, I'm a volunteer at Trellis, and my dad was fortunate enough to be a patient of Trellis during the last 6 months of his life. When my dad became a patient almost 9 years ago, my first thought was, who are these special people? How do they do this? They honored him, they respected him, and those last months truly honored a life that deserved to be honored. As a volunteer, I've had some incredible experiences at hospice. Visiting veterans in their homes and at the KBR campus has provided me some of the most memorable experiences of my life. Not always easy, but always rewarding. Recently, I had the honor of presenting a service coin to a Major General whose service had spanned from World War II to Vietnam. I was surprised when his room filled up with staff flowing out into the hall, 8 or 10 people in the hallway, 20 or so in the room, all gathering around this man to honor his service. As they were leaving, he told me, and as you might imagine, he had had a lot of rewards in his life. He said this award meant more to him than any had. This is what people feel at hospice, and his family appreciated that more than you can imagine. As a veteran, hospice and now Trellis Supportive Care and their efforts for our veteran community has done more for me than I have the ability to express. The gatherings, the camaraderie, the support, the brotherhood, the information is all so important. I often say we're all going to get those final orders one day, orders to return to base camp. And just like we were comforted and supported by our buddies when we were going to another duty station, knowing that the people of Trellis are there for us in those final days is comforting beyond belief. I know this for a fact. The way in which Trellis cares for veterans and their families is a real gift, and luckily for so many of us, the We Honor Veterans program is not just about care, it's also about connections. The people of Trellis are experts in providing quality of life in our final chapters, and they have made a commitment to our quality of life day in and day out through the many special events and ongoing veteran coffees they have created for our veteran community. The tradition that so many of us have come to treasure are the veteran coffees hosted several times a month throughout the Piedmont Triad region. It all began in 2014 in the parking lot of an Outback Steakhouse in Winston-Salem. The idea was to provide an opportunity for veterans to connect with one another and share stories over coffee and donuts, and learn about not only the services and care provided by Trellis Supportive Care, but to hear about resources offered to veterans by many organizations throughout the region. The momentum and enthusiasm for the coffees was unstoppable, Fellow veterans are experiencing connections with one another that many had never been able to do since their military service.
Enjoying myself, getting my fellow veterans, the camaraderie we have between one another, and it's just awesome. I love coming to these all the time.
And I think it's an amazing thing to bring the veterans and the community together and see all these people that care in the same place for the same reason. And having people like Cindy, who takes care of us.
Excellent.
So, always happy to be here.
Lots of friends I've met here. We've learned a lot of new things from Don and whoever he brings in.
I learned a lot from the resources around here, different groups that come. Yeah, I learned a lot from them.
The commitment to veteran outreach did not stop with the coffees. Don Timmons, a Vietnam veteran himself and community outreach coordinator for Trellis Supportive Care, had a vision. He wanted to honor and pay tribute to our World War II veterans. And so the organization hosted its first Spirit of 45 celebration, attracting over 120 World War II veterans and nearly 800 guests. And the tribute celebration continued for Korean War veterans, for Vietnam veterans, and for women veterans. Hundreds, if not thousands, of lives were touched in very deep and meaningful ways. Many of us will be forever grateful for the tribute and the warm welcome home. The family of veterans that have come together is inspiring, and the meaningful fellowship and friendships that have evolved is a true treasure.
Trellis Supportive Care serves people from 13 counties. To learn more about any of the programs and services of Trellis Supportive Care, visit us at trellissupport.org or call us at 888-876-3663.